Good morning, everyone. I'm Pedro Queirós Pinto, and I work as a research assistant at the Center for Digital Narrative at the University of Bergen, Norway. This presentation explores the connection between superhero aesthetics and outgroup vigilantism, and how this intersection can create new ways of doing and promoting digital vigilantism. This idea began as a response to the open call for the symposium, and the main idea is to apply concepts present in the populist superhero and superhero aesthetics to create not only visually, but also conceptually and narratively a new kind of superhero vigilante. So outgroup vigilantism is rising alongside hate discourse and societal polarization. Much of this is, of course, influenced by the discourse and actions of politicians and influencers. Social media and now AI have exacerbated the impact of denialism, conspiracy theories, persecution, and scapegoating, which will inevitably translate into digital vigilantism actions. For these individuals, their actions are pro-social and altruistic, even when they don't follow the law. They play the role of well-meaning guardians and protectors. In some cases, they perceive themselves and are perceived as heroes. But if they are heroes, the others must be villains. These narratives usually focus on the duality of good versus evil, right versus wrong, hero versus villain. But the idea of heroization and vilification is highly subjective. The same act can be seen as heroism or villainy depending on whose narrative you inhabit. It's about the eye of the beholder, the agenda, the politics. One act can be seen as heroism by some and as heroism by others. Media representations of heroes are guided by the latest technology delivery systems and reflect contemporary values, cultural trends, and societal aspirations. The growth of social media has given rise to influencers and internet personalities who are celebrated as heroes. Many of these narratives have been strategically produced and disseminated to superhero aesthetics, particularly within the populist discourse. The use of these aesthetics and conceptual strategies represents a social-cultural response to the rapidly growing complexities of the modern world, which plays on individuals' longing and even nostalgia for a historical period when crime and its control were simplified in the public eye, merely good versus evil. In a way, we can argue that it creates a narrower two-dimensional narrative with a specific mission to engage, entertain, and simplify the social world in line with the ethical position it seeks to promote. To better illustrate the use of superhero narratives and the hero-villain subjectivity, there is a quote by Elon Musk. My son Xavier died. He was killed by the woke mind virus. Now the woke mind virus will die. This is not a phrase we commonly associate with grief, sorrow, or despair. This is a revenge dramatization, a performative act that we can easily associate with either a villain or a superhero. It has an origin story tone and was produced to be engaging and popular. This is strategic because these individuals understand the impact of this aesthetic while also contributing to their own superheroization. Superheroes and populist leaders share a narrative of selflessly defending an allegedly powerless group from threats. Let's use Trump as an example because it's a relevant case study for understanding the intersection between outgroup vigilantism and superheroes. Trump's trajectory as a celebrity turned politician blends entertainment and political appeal. He has been portraying himself not only on his discourse, but through social media as a savior during crisis who offers hope and reassurance. Trump bonds with his supporters by combining anti-elite rhetoric with superhero imagery. He's a populist superhero, a leader that combines superheroic and populist characteristics, adapting the concept of a superhero for the 21st century, relying on social media, media performance, and entertainment strategies. Generative AI has played a strong role in the creation and dissemination of this superhero persona, being used not only by Trump, but also by his supporters who co-create and maintain the idea of this superheroization. Trump not only shares these images, but also reposts them from the White House and his fans. This illustrates both how others heroize Trump and how he heroizes himself, revealing that these processes are interconnected. In summary, Trump's populist superhero persona legitimizes authority by combining anti-elite rhetoric, superheroic imagery, and active audience participation, illustrating a shift in how political legitimacy is constructed. The superheroization of Trump has promoted acts of vigilantism. One of those was, as we know, January 6th. Now some of those people were pardoned by Trump and are also perceived as national heroes. On that day, the line between superheroic identities and vigilantism was also evident, as many who wore special costumes, almost as if they were different superhero personas. So why should someone be a vigilante when they can be a national hero, or even better, a superhero? So I don't know if you could hear the sound, but mostly is a video of Trump saying America needs a superhero. So this intersection between superheroes and real life existed before the rise of social media and generative AI as we know today. Real life superheroes adopt distinct costume superhero personas and names to perform community service or act as legal crime deterrents, typically rejecting the negative vigilante label in favor of visibility and altruistic recognition. While most real-life superheroes operate within the law by patrolling, de-escalating, and assisting police, some cross into actual vigilante territory by using physical force to operate entirely beyond legal boundaries. Despite emphasizing community activism, the costume converts these deeds into a performance that satisfies a narcissistic need for unique qualification, using visual displays to symbolize a purpose lacking in their civilian lives. To further distinguish themselves with the community, some actors adopt the hyper-specific alternative titles such as extreme altruists or costumed activists or citizen heroes. As Liam Burke said, every superhero story is inflected by the time and culture in which it was produced and its socio-political relevance. So these are the superheroes of our time, not vigilantes, but super vigilant heroes. While classical vigilantism carries a violent negative connotation, populist discourse and real-life superheroes deliberately distance themselves from this imagery by reframing their actions around heroism and perceived positive social change. Superheroes are fundamentally defined by an extraordinary capacity to use force, meaning their narratives dictate how the politics of violence are interpreted, negotiated, and ultimately rationalized in the public sphere. Eyewitnesses view conflict through distinct cultural lenses, which when an outgroup target is perceived as aggressive, it triggers a biased cognitive shift that leads onlookers, juries, and judges to reframe raw vigilante violence as a justifiable intervention by a protective guardian. Heroization is a complex process involving how a figure is mentally constructed within the collective consciousness, paired with their perceived real-world impact. Superheroes, real-life superheroes, influencers, and vigilantes share parallel origin stories rooted in communal narcissism. For real-life superheroes, real-world physical or emotional trauma, spiritual calling, and the refusal to remain a bystander yield the same psychological drive to act, mirroring the origin stories of their fictional counterparts. So adopting a superhero persona is a transformative process towards achieving a higher self, a super self, heavily influenced by fictional media. Individuals channel this identity into working for the greater good as a means for unlocking and developing their latent human abilities. Um, Generative AI allows digital vigilantes to become technical shapeshifters who can seamlessly engineer multiple super identities, alter narratives, manufacture fake news, and stage false encounters or deepfakes featuring their targets. Their superpower is technology. Through the strategic deployment of synthetic imagery and direct audience engagement, these digital vigilantes manipulate the collective consciousness to validate and cement their own self-superheroization. These are some examples of how people have been using generative AI to map the path towards the types of vigilantism that I'm proposing here. We have the UK urban decline trend, which multiple social media accounts worldwide create AI video content that attempts to promote the false idea of a changed UK urban landscape, incenting xenophobic discourse. One of these examples was Kurt Katz, a travel influencer who used AI tools to change the street and its inhabitants as a strategy to create the idea of UK urban decline. Another example is the MAGA influencer Jessica Foster, who is an avatar promoting a heroic military lifestyle. The Pierre Cohn case is another example, was a recent case of digital vigilantism in France, in which a YouTuber used a deepfake AI tools to create an avatar of a younger girl to engage in a conversation with a pedophile, live stream the conversation, and give the information to the police. Example, it's the most recent one, is a case Pratt example. Spencer Pratt is a former reality TV star and LA mayoral candidate who created AI-generated videos for his campaign, portraying him as a superhero and all his political opponents as villains. In these videos, his actions encourage LA residents to act as vigilantes, fighting for their city and the truth. So So what I wanted to show with that video, and I know the time is ending, is that as I said, the Pratt don't hurt anyone during the video, don't fight anyone during the video. He promotes vigilantism, so it's the residents that actually defend the place. So he promotes vigilantism. So really shortly, some final observations. Future research must investigate these emerging digital practices, specifically exploring how generative AI impacts outgroup vigilantism and drives the rise of new types of vigilantes. And critical examination is needed regarding how AI shapes processes of self-heroization and super self-heroization, particularly in relation to parasocial relationships with chatbots and the potential manifestation of AI psychosis for creating, for example, origin stories. So that's it. Thank you very much.